Okay, hello everybody. This is my first time doing a speed draw, and I don't know exactly what to say. While I'm doing this section right here, I'm trying to figure out what exactly it is that I want my character to be doing, what sort of pose, any actions, stuff like that. And it's pretty much trial and error. Normally I have things more planned out before I do images, but I was just kind of doing a fun little sketch and all that good stuff. So I didn't plan this image out nearly as much as I do for my other ones, and I think it kind of shows, but that's okay. That wasn't the point of this. This is basically just to test out recording programs. Let's see here. This is Kel. He's a wonderful boy. He's got Dominick's eyebrows right now, though. I will fix that later. I hate his arm there. So, sometimes I get frustrated and have to erase and redo everything a bunch of times before I'm very comfortable with it. So, I know a lot of people, whenever they're doing speedruns, they don't necessarily show them getting frustrated and having to redraw things several times, but it's completely normal. And if you have to do that, that's totally cool. Don't worry about that. Yeah, oh, fixed his eyebrows. There we go. And at this point, I figured, you know, he'll be talking to someone. And why not Dominick? Because he and Dominick are very close. They're good friends. Dominick is taller than Kel. I had a little bit of a hard time doing his right hand there, the one that's kind of off the page a bit. But sometimes you can cheat it like that, where you have to move the layer and move it back in order to get what's more accurate looking rather than just trying to guess. Dominick's got adorable little freckles. Now he's in his normal standard outfit. Kel is not. Kel is wearing a hoodie. Normally he doesn't wear hoodies. That doesn't mean he can't. Alright, and let's see here. This would be... Yeah, I do believe... Yes, this is a vector layer. Man, that is super tiny on my screen. Yeah, here's a little vector layer for Kel. And I know a lot of people do individual layers for each character, and like maybe one for most of the skin and then another layer for the clothing and things like that. I've tried to do that before, but it becomes a little bit too much for me to try and wrangle all at once. So I usually just have one layer for the line art, and that works perfectly fine for me. I try to minimize the amount of layers I have so that way I don't get them confused for each other. I'm gonna go fix that eyeball. Now you'll notice I put little fingernails on him. Normally I don't do that because that's a little extra detail that I don't normally put in. But if it's a image like this, I don't mind putting in the extra detail. But for the actual comics, I typically don't put in fingernails and things like that. I hate that finger. Interestingly enough, sometimes I'll use fingernails to denote how, I suppose, how well a person takes care of themselves. If they don't even be drawn, if they're not even drawn with fingernails, and it's like it's not a high priority for them. But Dominick, he takes good care of himself. He grooms himself very well, and so his nails are shown for the most part. Kel, not so much. He doesn't really care. So it was a little bit weird that I did put fingernails on his exposed hand. Oh, and here comes the fun of trying to figure out where the hole is. Huh. I like to do an error layer, so to make sure, especially for lighter skinned characters, to make sure I have everything how I want it to be. I have a pretty hard time actually with Diane because her skin and hair are so pale, and they're actually so close to each other in tone that I can very easily miss things. Like, I can get spots and stuff like that I have to go in and recolor again. So just now, I decided to do a different method of doing a layer, the green layer. Since it was frustrating me trying to do it the click and fill way, I just did the selection tool, clicked outside of them, and then inverted it to fill that. I forgot that I could do that, and I need to keep reminding myself that, because it makes it so much easier. Oh, that's in the right side of my screen there. That's my color palettes for everybody, and I have every single one of those colors named for what they are. And it really helps organization. Normally I'd have it divided by each character because I have several different outfits that I do for these characters as standards, but I haven't done that yet. Here's my lazy shading. I have, you look at the, if you look at the color patches there, those last 4 are what I use for shading when I feel like being a little bit lazy about it. I do the reddish colored ones for skin and hair, and then I do the grayish colored ones for backgrounds and for clothing and things like that. I kind of like the way it's working, but I might see about doing different things. Oh, I also use the gray for their eyes and stuff like that. I'll go in with the darker shades to make it just a little bit more dynamic for the shading. Now, normally for the comic, when I do these colors and these characters and color them in, I don't often do the dynamic shades, the darker ones. Largely because I'm trying to do things quickly and efficiently. Oh, here's here's me trying to figure out how to make this blend more smoothly, and I didn't like the result. So I just undid all of that. Some days, man, sometimes you like are really happy with your artwork. Sometimes it's just super frustrating and you're like, what happened? I thought I knew how to draw. I wonder what it is they would be talking about. Something that Kel is very passionate about, because he's got a big smile on his face, and he's usually a pretty mellow guy. It's most likely a book. He loves to read. I wanted to do a very quick image, which is one of the reasons why this doesn't have a background or a lot of detail with the shading and the ink and everything like that. Normally for an illustration like this, I would put more time and energy into it. Especially I would have put like a background or something, but the entire point of this image was to test to see how I can do in regards to doing a screen video, a screen captured video. And their eyes are super simple now too, and normally I do something a little more complicated for that. This is a filter that I just applied. It's it's kind of a filter. It's one of those command things. I will put a link to it in the description. It is from Clip Studio Paint, which is what I'm using for those of you who don't recognize it. And Dominick always has, well, almost always has highlight on his hair because he takes very good care of his hair, and so it's like glossy and very well kept. I don't like people stealing my stuff, so I do always like a big thing like that. I've had people steal my artwork before, and it was very frustrating, and I don't want to do that ever again. All right, I think that'll be good. Thank you all for watching. Bye.